I'm going to make this as short and simple as possible. I do have a tendency to ramble. I'll try to see if I can keep it under 10 minutes. I just don't feel like editing right now, so we'll see how it all turns out. Long story short, you probably heard the controversy with Laci Green going after roaming millennial, and then Phil ends up attacking her, and now it's just all this drama. But well, long story short, my opinion is that after doing my own research, I kind of feel like, as much as I have a strong respect for her. I love Laci Green. I followed her for years, and you know, in this situation, I feel like she's the only one who is entirely in the wrong. And just like I said, for the most part, I do respect. I respect her, and I think she is honestly trying to make the world a better place. But especially in recent years, like I can also understand the places where Phil is coming from, especially when he talked about how he doesn't hate her. It's just exhausting being around someone who constantly feels like they are always attacked. And like recently, a few months ago, I ended up losing contact with somebody that I considered a very close friend, just because, she was I was just having a bad day, and I just felt like complaining, and I had a business partner who I called a pussy ass bitch, and then rather than trying to just support me and help me through this very frustrating time, the first thing she does is tell me, you can't use that word because it demeans women, and for me, it's just. Like, I get it. Like, I get your argument. I get what you're saying. But here's the thing. Like, I'm very mad right now. And I'm just trying to vent. And I shouldn't have to, especially when I'm in this very emotional state. I shouldn't have to stop and think about every single word that I'm going to say. Because I'm worried about offending 4 billion people that aren't even in this room and will never hear me say these words. That's just stupid. And so long story short, I have nothing against social justice warriors, and I think we are far from equality. There is still plenty of fighting to do there. There is plenty to be mad about. There is still a lot of racial tension. Cops do more heavily target minorities than they do white people. We get arrested for doing the same crimes at a much higher rate, and we get much worse sentences for the exact same crimes. And there's still Hollywood does heavily whitewash every story that they tell. But there are so many things to be angry about, which is the reason why you gotta learn to pick your battles, because there are too many things to be angry about. Why should I give a fuck if a white guy wants to wear dreadlocks? I've got so many other things that actually do affect my life. This white guy wearing dreads, it has no actual impact on how I live my daily life. And you know what? As a black man, I do think cultural appropriation is total bullshit. Because, listen, dreadlocks are cool. Yes, we invented them, and you all know we invented them. So I don't see how it's cultural appropriation for you to say, hey, you invented this cool thing, I'd like to participate. That's just how life works. We are all influenced by the things around us, and with so many different heritages, so many different nationalities blended together in this one little continent that we have, it's hard not to mix things up. And I think people are doing more damage by trying to keep it all separate with all this under the guise of, don't appropriate their culture. I think it's bullshit. You know what? Dreadlocks are cool, and the only reason I don't have them is because you have to grow your hair out, and then it's so hard. You have to put all this effort into taking care of it and stuff. So yeah, usually I just keep my hair as short as I can. But that being said, dreadlocks are awesome, and I have any respect for anyone who is willing to put them on, especially if you wear them well. Like, I don't care, black, white, Asian, whatever. You want dreadlocks, you give yourself some fucking dreadlocks. It's all good. And honestly, I agree with many of the things Roaming Millennial said in her video. I watched that video, and I watched a few of her others. And you know what? She states an opinion. She states an opinion that many people will disagree with, but she clearly argues her case using a lot of factual evidence. And while there are things that I could nitpick that I disagree with, I agree with her overall assessment of cultural appropriation, and I agree with the overall message that it is total bullshit. And there are many things that she argues in the video that I've already said in general, which is that, you got people saying like, oh, Elvis appropriated black culture, Eminem appropriates black culture. You know what? They're not, to them, they grew up in America. They grew up in a part of America where a lot of black people were. And they grew up in this culture, listening to this type of music, and that ended up being their own personal style. They don't feel like they're stealing anything from anyone. They're just singing what they knew, what they were always surrounded with. And I think it does more damage for you to say that only black people can do this. This is a black thing. And because, you not realize how racist that sounds. Just think about that next time you try to claim cultural appropriation. Because as a black man, like, I am proud of my culture and heritage and the things that we invented. But that doesn't mean that we are the only ones who should be allowed to take part in them. If you enjoy something, you should be able to enjoy it regardless of anything. Yes, I love hip hop. Yes, I love Motown. But I also love like classic rock. I can't listen to Journey without singing along. I love everything 90s. There were so many white things in the 90s that a lot of people might be shocked that a black person enjoys. Like NSYNC, for one thing. You know what? NSYNC was awesome. I don't care. It's a bunch of 5 white guys singing and dancing white music. That doesn't sound racist to you, That I can't enjoy that because it's a bunch of white guys singing white music and I'm a black person, I should enjoy black music. So for me, I will never argue in favor of cultural appropriation. It's like, and when I mean in favor of it, well, you get what I'm trying to say. I'm not good with the words and such, but long story short, I watched Romy Millennial's video and I don't see anything wrong with it. It's a very cleverly worded video, and I think she did a great job stating, her own perspective on this thing, that an issue that has been hotly discussed to the world. And for the most part, it seems like the only reason anyone has anything bad to say against it is just because they disagree with the contents. They disagree with the message that was said because they looked at the video and they said, what? I don't like what she says in that title. How dare she? Let's get this video taken down. And I think that's just, I think this whole thing has just blown up. It's ridiculous how much backlash this has received. But also, I think she stated, like I said, I agree with the things she said, and I agree with the things that Phil said. And as much as I still have an admiration of Laci Green, it's just, in this specific instance, she was in the wrong. And, there are many times where, even though I do respect Laci, she said things that I don't agree with. But I can still respect her as a person and her right to have the opinions, and I don't see why people can't do the same for Romy Millennial. So that's the main point I was going to have in this video. Also, I forgot to fit it in, but there have been cases where I can disagree with other people too. Like, I've disagreed with Phil when I saw it happening with the whole him and Laci going after each other with the whole Amtrak thing, how they censored her site, which, I think that is an issue that plagues just a lot of people, where they don't have access to education because someone considers it smut, which is total bullshit. There are people who are heavily trying to censor what their kids can read and learn about. Kids aren't allowed to learn about their bodies and how it works. They're not allowed to learn about the dangers of STIs and other things because people don't want them having sex, and so they're just going to try to shield them from it as much as possible and hope that they just don't find out about it until they're in their mid-20s. But that's not how things works. Everyone's going to know what sex is before they graduate elementary school. That we should have an open dialogue with them by the time, and just so that they know what they're getting into and that they're very prepared to make good choices. So in that situation, I 100% agreed with Laci, and I think Phil should have just stayed out of it. He didn't really have to go it looked like he was attacking her. I understand, once again, she was stating an opinion, he was stating an opinion. Their opinions were different from each other. But in that situation, I took Laci's side. In this situation, I'm taking Phil and Roman Millennial's side. But that's the worst thing about this whole situation is that there's the topic of censorship and free speech. You know, everyone has a right to say what they believe. Even if you think it's wrong, they're allowed to believe in it and they're allowed to state it. And I think I said like 2 minutes ago that I was done with this, but I told you I have a tendency to ramble. So long story short, yeah, that's my opinion on how this whole issue is. So yeah, if you are one of those people who has no idea, like Voting Millennial and who she is and how this all got started, you should actually go watch the video because, like I said, she brings up a lot of very good points. And so, yeah, I'm just gonna turn the camera off. I have no idea how to end this. I haven't been doing this lately. I'm not used to it anymore.